Hey everybody, Rob Maurer here, and today, as you can probably already tell, I am somehow sick again. So that's awesome. Anyway, I do apologize for my voice today, so thanks for bearing with me on that, and hopefully we'll be back to normal on Monday. But today we're talking about Apple adding Tesla to one of their peer groups for their compensation planning. Kind of interesting. We'll look at that. Got a couple of updates on the Tesla Semi and Megacharger, news on Giga Berlin, also CATL's new battery factory by Giga Shanghai, and a handful of other stories as well. All right, well, what a roller coaster start to 2022 so far. Tesla today finishing down 3.5% for the fourth red day in a row, closing at $1,026.96, now well below where it closed last year before we got the Q4 delivery report. Another tougher day for tech and growth today, the Nasdaq finishing down about 1% while the Dow was flat. From a macro perspective, a couple of the hot topics today is that the 10-year yield did continue to rise, now sitting at about 1.78%, down just a little bit after hitting 1.8% earlier in the morning, but this is a new one-year high for the 10-year yield, though we are still quite a bit lower than historical levels. The other news was the job report out this morning. New jobs rose by about 200,000 versus expectations of about 420,000. And these reports are always a little bit weird to interpret because fewer jobs would be generally bad news for business, but in the case of the market, bad news unless it's bad enough to cause the Fed to kind of reverse the way their dialogue has been trending, in which case that would probably end up looking like good news to the market. But the perception seems to be that it's not quite bad enough to be net bad news. So whatever, it is what it is, but that's a couple of things going on in the macro today. All right, first up here, I wanted to talk a little bit about Apple because there's some interesting news in a new SEC filing from Apple disclosing some of their executive compensation for the year. So media reporting on Tim Cook making $100 million this year. Given everything we've been talking about with Elon Musk, I don't think we really need to spend much time on that. But what was kind of interesting here is that Apple talks about the role of peer companies when setting their compensation. They look at two peer groups, a primary peer group of public companies in the technology, media, and internet service industries. In this group, they've got companies you might expect like Microsoft, Intel, IBM, Alphabet, but also some that you might not like Visa or Comcast or Charter. But in addition to that primary group, they also look at another group of companies as well. They say, quote, a secondary peer group of premier companies that have iconic brands or are industry or category leaders, rely on significant research and development and innovation for growth, and require highly skilled employees was also developed as an additional reference set for the compensation committee. Based on the above criteria, Tesla Inc. was added to the secondary peer group for 2021, end quote. Other companies in the secondary peer group include Boeing, Nike, Pfizer, P&G, Coke, and Pepsi. So kind of interesting to see Tesla now added to this. It seems like Apple and Tesla have been competing for talent for a long time, so probably overdue. And I would say even based on just looking at talent competition, Tesla should probably move up into that primary peer group as well. So I think pretty interesting to see this acknowledgement from Apple, and obviously you certainly don't see any other automaker brands in this set. All right, let's keep it moving here. Next up, we've got an update on the Tesla Semi. This is coming from Drive Tesla Canada, which has been sent some photos by one of their readers of new Tesla Megachargers, which we've seen previously at Giga Nevada, arriving at Frito-Lay/PepsiCo's Modesto, California facility. Tesla's already got a lot of the electrical work as well as Megapacks set up in there, so it looks like this is getting pretty close to being ready to go. And Drive Tesla Canada is also reporting that, quote, after receiving these photos, we were able to confirm with one of our sources that PepsiCo has been told to expect to receive all 15 Tesla semis before the end of January, end quote. So previously, we of course had heard the PepsiCo CEO say that they were expecting the semis before the end of 2021. Looks like that's been delayed just a little bit, if this report is accurate. And again, reminder, these first semi deliveries, this does not mean that Tesla's going to be at high volume semi production. Remember, Elon had previously said, don't read into this, and that volume production wouldn't be until 2023 for the Semi. Still exciting though, and sort of alongside this, Sawyer Merritt on Twitter last night posted a couple of photos, potentially of a couple of these new semis at Giga Nevada. As far as the Megachargers go, Drive Tesla reporting that they've actually been told that the Megachargers will charge up to a 1.5 megawatt rate. That'd be equivalent to the peak rate of 6 superchargers simultaneously. All right, next up, we've got an update on Giga Berlin. Tobias Lind sharing this out today. And previously, we talked about how Tesla had applied for another temporary permit that has now been approved. That approval paperwork is what we're seeing here. It allows Tesla to do work in the press shop, body shell, final assembly, paint shop. So a lot of the areas that they would need to be testing right now. And in terms of the limits, at least for the body and white line, they are able to produce a maximum of 500 bodies per week, up to a maximum of 2,000 bodies in total with this temporary approval. As we had talked about before, previously they were able to build up to 250, so this is a pretty significant increase. And if we think back to Giga Shanghai in sort of that first few months of production, I guess sort of the first 2 to 3, Tesla over that period was only making a few hundred and eventually a couple of thousand vehicles. So this should actually give Tesla a pretty good start to be able to ramp production, even without that final approval. I don't know what they do with these cars. I don't know if they can eventually sell them or not. That doesn't matter too much for 250 cars, but when you're talking a couple thousand, that's $120 million of goods. So I certainly hope so. With this temporary approval just having been granted, I wouldn't necessarily expect a final approval within the next few days or something like that. Probably wouldn't make a lot of sense. So my best guess is it's more a matter of weeks than days at this point, but hopefully this buys Tesla enough time as they wait for that approval. And who knows, maybe we see another temporary approval increase this again, if not. That kind of seems to have been how this whole project has gone anyway. All right, next up, we've got some news relevant to Giga Shanghai. As we've talked about before, CATL is building a plant there in Shanghai very close to the Gigafactory. Well, today there was a report from China EV Post citing the Shanghai Observer, which apparently has reported that this factory from CATL has already started supplying Tesla with batteries as early as November 2021. They also say that somehow already this factory, even though we kind of just learned about the plans in June, and I'm not even sure when they started construction, but they're saying that they've already reached 60% of their design capacity. Honestly, I don't know if I believe that, but if that's true, that would be crazy progress. I don't think we know the planned capacity, but previous reports had put it at 80 gigawatt hours. So 60% capacity would already put them pretty close to a 50 gigawatt hour run rate in just a matter of a few months, which again, a little bit tough to believe, but if that is accurate, incredibly impressive. Let's hope that it is, because that would be very helpful for Tesla's growth outlook from Giga Shanghai for 2022. Next up, we've got kind of a wild story. This is coming from the Department of Justice, District of Oregon, which is reporting that an Oregon man has been sentenced to federal prison and ordered to give up more than 15,000 shares of Tesla due to a series of fraud related to receiving financial aid from the CARES Act under fraudulent businesses. So basically, he applied and received a lot of funding for businesses that didn't exist and then invested that into Tesla stock, which that part of the plan was solid, but obviously the fraud part a little bit less solid. So he's been caught, stock has been seized. One of the more interesting Tesla stock stories that we have had, and I don't know, I mean, there's a non-zero chance that that person is a listener. So we might be down one subscriber now. So good opportunity if you're not subscribed yet. Hey, hit that subscribe button and make up for this guy. All right, next up, we've potentially got a little bit more information on the possibility of an AMD Ryzen processor retrofit. We talked about this yesterday. Drive Tesla Canada reporting that they had heard that this would be offered. Sawyer Merritt today, citing some internal Tesla communication that was shared with him, says that Tesla has no plans to offer a retrofit for the AMD processor. So who knows, but passing that along, and obviously Tesla could decide to change their mind either way at some point in the future. Next, we've got an update out of the UK. As we talked about yesterday, the Model 3 sold incredibly well in 2021 in the UK, and it looks like now to start off 2022, Tesla's getting ready to start deliveries of the Model Y as well. A listener in the UK this morning had passed along an email they'd received from Tesla telling them to prepare for delivery, and other sources have reported similarly. So I don't know if actually we've had any right-hand drive Model Ys delivered yet. I know they opened up the configuration studio in Hong Kong, the UK, now for a while, but I'm not sure if any right-hand drive versions have actually been delivered yet. If not, it looks like Tesla is getting pretty close to that at this point. Next up, just wanted to point out that Tesla China did share a video on YouTube about Tesla's safety process. Tesla's global account had already shared a video kind of like this, but I think this one's a little bit longer. It's almost 10 minutes long. Pretty detailed, worth a watch, so I'll put the link for that down in the description. But always the most interesting part of these videos for me is where Tesla talks about how they actually collect data from real accidents from the camera suite and then leverage that for their safety R&D. I just think that's really cool, and they note that in this video as well. All right, last item for today, we've got an update from Toyota. Their chief scientist, Gil Pratt, talked about their solid-state battery plans. Toyota saying again that we'll see solid-state from them by 2025, but they don't initially plan to put it in an EV. Instead, they're going to use those batteries for hybrids, and the reason given for that is to keep the price down. So I don't really know what good putting a solid-state battery in a hybrid is over just putting in a not solid-state battery, especially if it's more expensive. But I guess, have fun, Toyota. Have fun just mishmashing everything together, and maybe something will work. Maybe not. Who cares? Not their problem if it doesn't work out, I guess. But that's it. We're wrapping it up for the day and for the week. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Hopefully we'll have a much better week next week all around. Until then, thanks for listening. Again, make sure you're subscribed and signed up for notifications. You can also find me on Twitter @TeslaPodcast. And we'll see you on Monday for the January 10th episode of Tesla Daily. Thank you.